The PM who tripped. Why every stumble now feels like a political earthquake. Imagine holding the nuclear codes, the fate of the NHS, and the hopes of a battered nation in your hands, only to trip over your own feet on live television outside the most famous front door in British politics. If you think that sounds like the setup to a Monty Python sketch, you're not far off. Welcome to the latest episode of UK Plug, where we peel back the layers of British politics with surgical precision, or, as in this case, the comic clumsiness of a Prime Minister attempting to look statesmanlike while gravity has other plans. It should have been the easiest part of the day. Walk out of number 10, face the cameras, Project Authority. Instead, we witness Keir Starmer transform from stoic statesman to slapstick victim in 0.3 seconds flat, courtesy of a rogue step and a not-so-invisible banana peel. On another day, it might have been forgettable mishap. But when you're Prime Minister, every physical misstep becomes a metaphor, and this one arrived gift-wrapped with symbolism thicker than the Downing Street walls. The timing could not have been more brutal. As Starmer gathered himself, the assembled crowd across the road seized a moment, hurling not jeers, but pointed policy questions. Prime Minister, have you lost control of your MPs? Rang out, sharp as a slap. As he dusted off his chute, the heckles kept coming. Will you rule out tax rises? And, perhaps most damningly, what happened to ending sticking plaster politics? It wasn't just heckling. It was a live demonstration of the gap between this government's promises and its wobbly reality. The crowd didn't just want to see the PM stumble. They wanted answers. And in that moment, as Starmer tried to look dignified while blinking away the embarrassment, the spectacle became a metaphor for his entire premiership so far. What does it say about our politics that ordinary citizens now show up outside Downing Street with not just jeers, but pointed questions on fiscal policy? This isn't the deferential Britain of decades past. These are citizens who follow the news closely enough to ask about MPs' discipline and the nuances of tax policy. It's either a sign of healthy democratic engagement or a troubling lack of respect for the office, and, depending on your perspective, maybe both. The heckling was so pointed, so policy-focused, it felt as if the crowd had been briefed by a think tank. The question about MPs was especially stinging. Have you lost control of your MPs, Prime Minister? It's a line that bites, especially when delivered as a PM is literally picking himself up off the pavement. Irony, thy name is Downing Street. British politics loves a metaphor, and this one was almost too on the nose. Here's a Prime Minister who campaigned on fixing Britain's problems properly, not just slapping on sticking plasters. Yet there he was, stumbling both literally and figuratively, as onlookers grilled him about his government's patchwork approach to crises. It's the kind of moment that gives physician, heal thyself, a modern twist. How can you promise to steady the ship of state when you can't even keep your own footing on the front steps? The British public never wants to miss an opportunity for wordplay, so the symbolism and ran with it. Social media had a field day. Memes appeared within minutes. The nation collectively shrugged and said, well, that about sums it up. But let's get serious for a second. This wasn't just one man having a rough day with gravity. It was a snapshot of our political moment. The mood in Britain is unforgiving, restless, and deeply skeptical of those in power. The fact that crowd feel emboldened to shout down the Prime Minister with policy questions, and not just insults, tells us that the old reverence for high office has all but evaporated. It also reflects a deeper malaise. When the nation's leader, the very person tasked with ending sticking plaster politics, can't even manage a dignified descent down the steps, it's hard not to see the whole episode as a perfect metaphor for the times. Every stumble, every hesitation, becomes a story. Every moment is loaded with meaning. Here's the rub. Most of us have tripped over our own feet. But very few of us have to do it while running a country, with the world watching, and a crowd of angry citizens questioning our every move. That's the reality for the Prime Minister now. The real question isn't whether Starmer can stay upright on the Downing Street steps. It's whether he can stay upright politically in a climate where every slip, literal or figurative, could be the start of a very public fall from grace. So, what do you think? Is this all just political slapstick, or is it a perfect metaphor for the state of British politics? Have your say, but try not to trip over your own arguments in the comments below. If you enjoyed this irreverent take on British political theatre, hit subscribe to UK Plug for more analysis that's equal parts serious and ridiculous. Because in this country, those two things are rarely far apart. Until next time, keep your feet firmly planted and your political radar switched on.